Admiral Sarah Chen walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. Her boots clicked on the polished metal floor as thousands of alien eyes turned to watch her. The chamber was huge, bigger than any stadium on Earth. Representatives from 12 different species sat in floating platforms that moved slowly around a central speaking area. Sarah had dreamed of this moment for 3 years. Ever since the first alien ship had appeared over Earth and made contact, humanity had worked toward joining the galactic community. Today was the day they would ask for membership in the Galactic Council. The chamber filled with strange sounds as the aliens talked among themselves. Sarah heard clicking, humming, and sounds that no human throat could make. Her translator device turned their words into English in her ear. "Look at the little human," said a voice that sounded like grinding stones. "So eager to join the grown-ups? Their ships barely leave their own solar system." Another voice laughed. "What could they possibly offer us?" Sarah kept her face calm. She had expected this. Humanity was the newest species to make contact with the galactic community. Their technology seemed primitive compared to what these ancient civilizations had. Built over thousands of years, the HFY were the first to speak officially. They were tall, covered in gray scales, with 4 arms and teeth like knives. Their representative, War Marshal Teclon, stood on his floating platform and looked down at Sarah. "Honored Council," Teclon said, his voice deep and threatening. "We gather today because this human wants us to accept her species as members. But look at what they bring us." A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed Earth's space fleet. 50 ships floated in the display, looking small and basic compared to the sleek alien vessels Sarah could see through the chamber's windows. "Chemical rockets," Teclon continued, pointing at the hologram. "Metal hulls that a child could punch through. Weapons that throw pieces of metal at each other. This is what humans call advanced technology." Laughter filled the chamber. Sarah watched as representatives from the Zephyrians, the Ethereals, and other species joined in. The Zephyrians were known for having the best technology in the galaxy. Their ships could cross vast distances in hours. The Ethereals could read minds and control matter with their thoughts. "War Marshal Teclon speaks truth," said the Ethereal representative, her voice like music in Sarah's mind. "We have scanned human minds. They think in straight lines. They see only what is in front of them. They lack the mental complexity for true advancement." Sarah's jaw tightened, but she remained silent. "Let them talk. Let them think they knew everything about humanity." The Zephyrian representative, a being that looked like living crystal, added his voice to the discussion. "Their communications are limited to light speed. They cannot even talk to their own ships once they travel far enough. How can such a primitive species contribute to our council?" More laughter. Sarah noticed that not all the representatives were laughing, though. A few watched her carefully, as if trying to understand something. The hegemony representative, a creature that looked like a floating jellyfish, seemed particularly interested in her calm reaction. "Perhaps," the hegemony representative said in a voice like whispers, "we should not judge too quickly. Humans survived their planet's wars. They unified their species. This shows some capability." "Capability?" Teclon's laugh was like rocks falling down a mountain. "They fight with explosive chemicals and metal projectiles. My youngest child could destroy their entire fleet with one of our patrol ships." Sarah finally stepped forward. The chamber grew quiet as she walked to the center speaking area. Her voice carried clearly through the translator system. "Honored representatives," she began. "Humanity requests membership in the Galactic Council. We offer our unique perspectives, our determination, and our willingness to learn from the wisdom of older civilizations." "And what else?" Teclon demanded. "What military strength do you bring? What technology? What resources?" Sarah smiled slightly. "We bring what we have always brought to every challenge we have faced. We bring human ingenuity." "Ingenuity," the Zephyrian representative repeated, his crystal body flashing with what might have been amusement. "The same ingenuity that took you thousands of years to leave your own planet? The same ingenuity that gives you ships slower than our messenger drones?" Sarah's smile didn't change. "The same ingenuity that helped us survive when other species might have given up. The same ingenuity that helped us reach the stars despite starting with nothing but metal and fire. The chamber erupted in discussion. Sarah caught fragments of conversation through her translator. Arrogant for such a weak species. Do they really think determination matters against plasma cannons? I scanned their military databases. Pathetic. The council leader, an ancient being from the first species to achieve spaceflight, raised the appendage for silence. Its voice was old and tired. The human request has been heard. We will vote. The voting took only minutes. Holographic symbols appeared above each representative's platform. Sarah recognized the symbols from her briefings. Green meant yes. Red meant no. Yellow meant abstain. Red symbols filled the chamber like angry stars. Only 3 green symbols appeared, and 5 yellow ones. The rest were red. The vote is complete, the council leader announced. Earth is granted probationary observer status. You may attend council meetings and speak when recognized. However, you have no vote in council decisions. You may not access our advanced databases or technologies. Your military vessels are restricted to your home system and designated trading routes. Sarah nodded as if this was exactly what she had expected. Earth accepts the council's decision with gratitude. Theclon leaned forward on his platform. Do not mistake our mercy for weakness, human. Probationary status can be revoked at any time. One mistake, one sign that your species is not ready for galactic civilization, and you will be sent back to your little planet. We understand completely, War Marshal, Sarah replied calmly. As the session ended, Sarah walked toward the exit. She could hear the representatives talking behind her. Give them 50 years of probation, maybe they will learn something. If they survive that long, space is dangerous for such a weak species. Did you see their military reports? They still fight each other over resources and territory. Sarah reached the chamber doors and paused. She turned back to look at the assembled representatives one more time. Her smile was small, but genuine. Thank you for this opportunity, she called out. I promise you will find humanity to be full of surprises. More laughter followed her as she left the chamber. Outside in the corridor, Sarah activated her personal communicator. The message she sent was short and used a code that no alien translator would recognize. Protocol Omega is approved. Begin Phase 1 implementation across all sectors. Time to show them what human ingenuity really looks like. She closed the communicator and walked toward her ship. Behind her, the representatives continued their discussion, already dismissing humanity as just another minor species that would probably destroy itself within a few generations. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Sarah smiled to herself as she thought about the hidden research stations scattered throughout the galaxy. The alien species were so certain of their superiority that they had never bothered to look closely at what humans were really doing in the dark spaces between the stars. That oversight was about to change everything. 6 months after Earth received its probationary status, the first pirate attacks began. The news reached the Galactic Council through panicked emergency broadcasts from the Outer Rim territories. This is Commander Veltar of the Hegemony Patrol, ship Singing Wind. The message crackled through the Council Chamber's communication system. We are under attack by unknown vessels. They appeared from nowhere. Our shields are failing. Send help immediately. The transmission cut to static. War Marshal Theclon stood at the center of the chamber, his forearms crossed in frustration. The holographic display showed the last known position of the Singing Wind. Only empty space remained. This is the 15th ship we have lost in the past month, Theclon announced to the assembled representatives. Someone is attacking our vessels, but we have no idea who. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in the human observer section, listening carefully. Her face showed concern, but her eyes were calculating. She had been tracking these attacks through Earth's own monitoring systems the Council didn't know existed. The Zephyrian representative, his crystal body flashing with worry, spoke up. Our long-range sensors show nothing. Whoever is doing this has technology we cannot detect. Impossible. declared the ethereal representative. Her mental voice carried frustration. Our psychic senses reach across star systems. We would feel the presence of any large fleet. But they were wrong. Over the next few weeks, the attacks grew bolder and more organized. Entire colonies went silent. Trading ships disappeared without sending distress signals. The outer rim territories began evacuating toward the safer inner systems. Then the attackers revealed themselves. The pirate fleet emerged from hyperspace near the industrial world of Nexus Station like a swarm of angry insects. 3,000 ships of all sizes and designs filled the space around the planet. At their head was a massive dreadnought that dwarfed any vessel in the galactic fleet. On the bridge of that dreadnought stood Kraxel, the self-proclaimed Lord of the Void Reapers. He was a mix of different alien species, cybernetic implants covering half his body. His voice boomed across all communication channels. "Citizens of the galaxy," he announced, "your council has grown fat and lazy. You take wealth from the rim, worlds, and give nothing back. Today that changes. The Void Reapers claim this territory as our own." The defense fleet that arrived to stop them was impressive by any normal standard. 500 ships from different council species, including the pride of the Zephyrian Navy, the battleship Crystal Song. It was the most advanced warship ever built, with shields that could absorb the energy of a star and weapons that could crack planets. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Crystal Song was a floating wreck. 400 of the 500 council ships were destroyed. The pirates had lost only a few dozen vessels. Kraxel broadcast his victory to the entire galaxy. "Your best ships are scrap metal now. Your most advanced technology is worthless. Submit to the Void Reapers or watch your worlds burn." The news reached the council chamber within hours. Representatives who had seemed calm and confident now looked scared. Some were already talking about surrender. Decalon slammed his fist on his platform's control panel. "This is impossible. The Crystal Song had shields that could protect an entire fleet. How did they destroy it so easily?" "They used our own tactics against us," the surviving Zephyrian admiral reported via hologram. His crystal body was cracked and dim. "They attacked from multiple directions, concentrated their fire, and retreated when we tried to respond. But their ships are faster than ours. They can appear and disappear before we can target them." Admiral Chen stood up in the observer section. "If I may speak?" The chamber turned to look at her. Some representatives seemed annoyed that the human was interrupting their crisis meeting. Others looked desperate enough to listen to anyone. "Earth has been monitoring these attacks," Sarah continued. "We have identified patterns in the pirates' movements. We believe we can help." Laughter filled the chamber, but it was bitter and desperate rather than mocking. "Help?" Teclon's voice dripped with sarcasm. "Human, we just lost our most powerful fleet to these pirates. Ships with technology your species cannot even understand were destroyed like toys. What could your primitive vessels possibly do?" Sarah's expression remained calm. "We have 50 ships available for immediate deployment. They may be primitive, but we understand tactics that your species have forgotten." 50 ships? The ethereal representative's mental voice was sharp with disbelief. "We lost 500 of our best vessels. What good will 50 more do, especially ships as weak as yours?" Sarah stepped forward. "Sometimes, War Marshal, the solution to a problem is not more of the same thing. Sometimes it requires a different approach." The chamber erupted in discussion. Most representatives thought the human was either joking or had lost her mind. The hegemony representative floated closer to Sarah's section. "Explain this different approach," the jellyfish-like being whispered. "Pirates rely on speed and surprise," Sarah explained. "They hit fast and hard, then disappear before you can respond. But what if you could match their speed? What if you could surprise them instead?" "Impossible," Theclon declared. "Their ships are faster than anything we have. They appear on our sensors only when they want to be seen." Sarah smiled slightly. "War Marshal, you once said that your youngest child could destroy our entire fleet with one patrol ship." "I did. And it is true." "Then you have nothing to lose by letting us try. If we fail, you lose 50 primitive ships that were worthless anyway. If we succeed, She let the sentence hang in the air. The council leader, who had been silent during the entire discussion, finally spoke. "What do you propose, Admiral Chen? Give us permission to engage the pirates. Let Earth's fleet join the next defense operation. We will follow council commands and coordinate with your forces." The chamber fell silent. Sarah could see the representatives calculating. Their own fleets were in retreat. Their most advanced ships had been destroyed. What did they have to lose? "This is madness," Techalon muttered. "Sending humans against an enemy that destroyed the Crystal Song is like sending children to fight a dragon." "Perhaps," Sarah replied, "but sometimes children see solutions that adults miss." The vote was closer this time. Many representatives abstained, unwilling to take responsibility for sending humans to their deaths. But enough voted yes to pass the motion. "Very well," the council leader announced. "Earth's fleet is authorized to participate in defensive operations against the Void Reapers. However, Admiral Chen, understand that the council cannot be held responsible for the consequences." Sarah nodded. "We understand and accept full responsibility for our actions." As the session ended, Sarah activated her communicator again. This time her message was longer and more detailed. "All stations, this is Admiral Chen. Authorization confirmed. Begin immediate deployment to Kepler Prime. The pirates are massing for another attack there. Time to show the galaxy what we have been building in the dark." Across the galaxy, in hidden bases that no alien sensor had ever detected, humanity's true fleet began to move. Ships that existed in dimensions the Galactic Council couldn't imagine started their journey toward the next battle. The pirates thought they had seen the galaxy's best technology. The Council thought they knew humanity's capabilities. Both were about to learn how wrong they were. The space around Kepler Prime looked like a graveyard. Broken pieces of ships floated in the darkness, reminders of the last battle between the Council forces and the Void Reapers. The industrial planet below had gone silent, its factories shut down and its people hiding in underground shelters. Kraxel stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Nightmare's Edge. Through the massive viewing windows, he could see his fleet of 3,000 ships spread across the system. Every type of vessel was represented, from fast attack ships stolen from the hegemony to massive battleships taken from defeated Kethvar fleets. Lord Kraxel, his communications officer, reported, "The Council is sending another fleet to defend this system." Kraxel laughed, a sound like metal being torn apart. "How many ships this time? Another 500? 1,000? It makes no difference. We will destroy them just as easily as we destroyed the last fleet." "Actually, sir," the officer hesitated, "our scouts report only 50 ships approaching." The pirate lord turned, his cybernetic eye focusing on the officer. 50? Is this some kind of joke?" "No, sir. 50 ships, human design. They are requesting permission to speak with you." Kraxel's laughter echoed through the bridge. "Humans? The Council is so desperate they are sending the galaxy's most primitive species to fight us?" He activated the main communication system. "This is Lord Kraxel of the Void Reapers. I understand some humans want to play with the big ships. Did the Council tell you what happened to their last fleet?" Admiral Sarah Chen's voice came through clearly. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Lord Kraxel, I have a message for you." "Oh, this should be interesting. What could a human possibly have to say to me?" "Surrender now and we will allow you and your ships to leave this system safely." The silence on Kraxel's bridge lasted for several seconds. Then every pirate on the bridge burst into laughter. "Did she just..." One officer gasped between laughs. "Did she just tell us to surrender?" Kraxel wiped tears from his eyes. "Human, I have 3,000 ships. You have 50. I just destroyed a fleet of advanced alien warships that could have turned your entire planet into space dust. What exactly do you think you can do to me?" "We can show you what happens when you underestimate humanity," Sarah replied calmly. "This is the best entertainment I have had in months," Kraxel declared. "Very well, Admiral Chen. Come and show me what your metal toys can do. Try not to die too quickly. I want to enjoy this." The human fleet approached from the edge of the system, On every council monitoring station, technicians watched the displays with growing horror. 50 small ships moving toward 3,000 larger ones looked like suicide. In the council chamber, representatives watched the live feed with mixed emotions. Some felt guilty for sending humans to their deaths. Others were curious to see how long the primitive ships would survive. "This is madness," War Marshal Theclon muttered. "Those humans are going to be destroyed in minutes." The ethereal representative tried to reach out with her mind to sense the human ships. "Strange," she whispered. "I cannot feel the minds of the human crews. It is as if their ships are empty." On the tactical displays, the 50 human ships continued their steady approach. They looked exactly like the vessels the Council had seen before. Metal hulls, chemical engines, simple designs that belonged to a species just learning to travel between stars. Kraxel watched them come with growing amusement. "Communications. Broadcast this battle to the entire galaxy. Let everyone see what happens when primitives challenge the Void Reapers." The human ships entered weapons range. Kraxel expected them to open fire immediately, as most species did. Instead, they continued moving forward in perfect formation. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "they are not locking weapons on us. They are just flying toward us." "Probably too scared to fight," Kraxel said. "Or maybe their weapons are so primitive they need to get closer. Let them come. When they are close enough, we will destroy them all at once." The human ships moved deeper into the pirate formation. They were surrounded now, thousands of enemy vessels on all sides. Still, they maintained their steady course toward Kraxel's flagship. Then space began to ripple. The change was subtle at first. Stars seemed to bend slightly. The light from distant suns appeared to curve around empty areas of space. Sensor. Operators across the system began reporting strange readings. "What is that?" Kraxel demanded, pointing at the tactical display. The human ships were still there, but something was wrong with the image. They seemed to be flickering, as if the display was malfunctioning. "Sir, our sensors are showing impossible readings. The human ships appear to be in multiple locations at the same time." The ripples in space grew stronger. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist around the human fleet. Then, without warning, the 50 ships simply disappeared. "Where did they go?" Kraxel roared. "Find them!" "Sir, they are everywhere. Our sensors show human ships in every section of our fleet." The tactical display exploded with contact markers. Hundreds of human ships appeared on the screen, far more than the 50 that had approached. They materialized inside the pirate formation, between ships, above and below the fleet in three-dimensional space. But these were not the same ships that had approached. These vessels looked like they were made of pure darkness. Their hulls seemed to absorb light, creating distortions in space that hurt to look at. They moved without any visible engines, sliding through space like shadows. Admiral Chen's voice cut through every communication channel in the system. "Earth fleet to all vessels. Weapons free. Show them what dark matter can do." The human ships opened fire. No energy beams shot from their weapons. No missiles or projectiles flew through space. Instead, reality around the pirate ships began to change. Hulls simply ceased to exist. Shields failed not because they were overloaded, but because the matter they were protecting was no longer there. A pirate battleship tried to ram one of the human destroyers. The alien vessel passed harmlessly through the dark ship, which had somehow become intangible. As the battleship emerged from the other side, pieces of it began disappearing. Within seconds, the massive warship faded from existence like smoke. "Impossible," Kraxel screamed. "Nothing can do this. What are those weapons?" His tactical officer's voice was shaking. "Sir, they are not using any weapons we understand. Our ships are not being destroyed. They are being edited out of reality." Across the pirate fleet, 3,000 ships began to disappear. Some tried to run, but the human vessels moved impossibly fast, appearing in front of fleeing ships before they could escape. Others tried to fight, concentrating their fire on the dark ships, but their weapons passed through the human vessels without effect. The human fleet moved through the pirates like shadows through candlelight. They seemed to exist in normal space, and somewhere else at the same time. When pirate ships tried to target them, the humans would become intangible. When they wanted to attack, they would solidify just long enough to unleash weapons that unmade matter itself. In 30 minutes, a fleet of 3,000 ships was reduced to empty space and floating debris. Craxel's flagship was the last to survive, only because the human ship seemed to be saving it for last. The pirate lord stood on his bridge watching his empire disappear before his eyes. "This is not possible," he whispered. "Our sensors cannot even detect how they are doing this." Admiral Chen's voice filled his bridge. "Lord Craxel, I offered you the chance to surrender. That offer is no longer available." "Wait!" Craxel screamed. "I surrender. My entire fleet surrenders. Please do not destroy us." "Your fleet no longer exists," Sarah replied calmly. "You are the last ship remaining." Through his viewing windows, Craxel could see the human ships surrounding his flagship. Up close, they were even more terrifying. They seemed to be made of the darkness between stars, visible only as distortions that bent light around them. "What are you?" he whispered. "We are humanity," Sarah answered. "We are what happens when you push a species that survived everything their own world could throw at them. We are what you get when you underestimate the quiet ones who work in the dark, while others make noise in the light." One of the human ships moved closer to the nightmare's edge. Reality rippled around the pirate flagship. "I could unmake your ship like all the others," Sarah continued. "But I want you to live. I want you to spread the word across the galaxy. Tell every pirate, every raider, every species that thinks they can take what belongs to others. Humanity is watching. We have ships in dimensions you cannot see, weapons that operate beyond your understanding of physics." The darkness around Craxel's ship intensified, then suddenly disappeared. The human fleet was gone as quickly as it had appeared. "This is Admiral Chen to Kepler Prime," Sarah's voice broadcast across the system. "The pirate threat has been eliminated. Your world is safe." In the council chamber, every representative sat in stunned silence. The tactical displays showed only empty space where minutes before thousands of ships had been fighting. War Marshal Theclon was the first to speak. His voice was barely a whisper. "What have we awakened?" The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 6 hours after the Battle of Kepler Prime. Representatives from every species had rushed to the chamber, their faces showing a mixture of fear, confusion, and desperate curiosity. The massive, holographic display at the center showed recordings of the battle, played on endless repeat. War Marshal Theclon stood at his platform, his forearms trembling slightly as he pointed at the display. "This recording has been verified by 17 different sensor arrays. 3,000 ships. Gone in 30 minutes. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Simply erased from existence." Admiral Sarah Chen sat calmly in the human observer section. She had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. Every representative in the chamber was staring at her, as if she might suddenly disappear like the pirate ships had. The Zephyrian representative, his crystal body flashing with rapid colors that indicated extreme agitation, spoke first. "Admiral Chen, our most advanced sensors cannot explain what happened at Kepler Prime. Our recordings show your ships doing things that violate every law of physics we understand." Sarah stood and walked to the center speaking area. Her movements were calm and controlled, but every alien eye followed her as if she were a dangerous predator. "Representatives of the council," she began. "You have questions. I am authorized to provide some answers." "Some answers?" The ethereal representative's mental voice was sharp with frustration. "Admiral Chen, your species just demonstrated technology that makes our most advanced warships look like children's toys. We demand to know how this is possible." Sarah smiled slightly. 3 years ago, when humanity first made contact with your species, we were told we were primitive. Our ships were too slow. Our weapons were too weak. Our minds were too simple for true advancement. And we were correct, Theclon interrupted. The ships we saw were primitive. They still are. You are absolutely right, War Marshal. The ships you saw were primitive. But they were not our only ships. The chamber fell silent. Sarah activated a small device she had been carrying. The holographic display changed, showing new images that made several representatives gasp in shock. The display showed a vast construction, facility floating in deep space. Ships were being built there, but not ships like anything the Council had ever seen. These vessels seemed to be made of condensed darkness, their hulls reflecting no light at all. For the past 15 years, Sarah continued, humanity has been researching something your species overlooked: dark matter. The Zephyrian representative's body flashed bright red. Impossible. Dark matter cannot be manipulated. It barely interacts with normal matter at all. A new figure appeared in the holographic display. Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's leading physicist, stood in what appeared to be a laboratory filled with equipment that defied easy description. Actually, Dr. Webb said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's speakers, dark matter can be manipulated if you understand its true nature. Your species see it as invisible mass that fills the universe. We discovered that it is something far more interesting. He gestured to the equipment around him. Dark matter is not just invisible matter. It exists in a parallel layer of reality that occupies the same space as our normal universe. Think of it as a shadow dimension that overlays our own. The representatives began talking among themselves in urgent whispers. Sarah could hear fragments of their conversations through her translator. Impossible. No species has ever. How could humans discover something we missed? Dr. Webb continued his explanation. Once we learned to access this shadow dimension, we could build ships that exist in both layers of reality simultaneously. Our vessels can become intangible in normal space by shifting fully into the dark matter dimension. They can move at impossible speeds because distance works differently in that layer. And the weapons? Theklan's voice was barely controlled. How did you make our ships simply disappear? Dark matter weapons do not destroy, Dr. Webb explained. They edit. By manipulating the boundary between dimensions, we can shift matter from normal space into the shadow dimension. From your perspective, it simply ceases to exist. The council leader, who had remained silent during the entire presentation, finally spoke. How many ships do you possess with this technology? Sarah's smile grew wider. Would you like to see? She activated another control on her device. The holographic display changed again, showing space around the council station itself. Slowly, shapes began to appear in the darkness. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of human ships materialized around the station. Every representative in the chamber froze in terror. The ships had been there all along, invisible in their shadow dimension surrounding the heart of galactic government. 10,000 ships, Sarah announced calmly. Each one capable of doing to your fleets what we did to the pirates at Kepler Prime. The ethereal representative's mental voice was barely a whisper. You could have destroyed us all at any time. Yes, Sarah replied simply. But we are not conquerors. We are protectors. Protectors of what? Theklan demanded, though his voice had lost its earlier confidence. Of peace, of order, of the innocent species who cannot defend themselves against threats like the Void Reapers. The chamber erupted in discussion. Representatives were arguing, pleading, calculating. Some species were already trying to leave, but Sarah's next words stopped them. The human fleet will remain in position until this session is complete. We have much to discuss. War Marshal Theklan, the proud leader of the galaxy's most feared military force, took a step back from his platform's controls. What do you want from us? Recognition, Sarah replied. Respect. And an end to the idea that humanity is too primitive to contribute to galactic civilization. You have it, the council leader said immediately. Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Council with all rights and privileges. Thanks. But membership is no longer enough. The balance of power in this galaxy has shifted. Your fleets cannot protect the Outer Rim territories from threats like the pirates. Our fleets can. The implications hit the representatives like a physical blow. For thousands of years, the established species had controlled galactic security through their military strength. Now a species they had dismissed as primitive had demonstrated capabilities that made their own forces obsolete. "What are you proposing?" the hegemony representative asked, its jellyfish-like form pulsing with anxiety. "A new arrangement. The Terran Protection Fleet will assume responsibility for galactic security. Your species can maintain local defense forces for your own territories, but threats that cross system boundaries will be handled by humanity." "And if we refuse?" Theklan asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Sarah's expression remained pleasant. "The Void Reapers refused to consider our offer of mercy. You saw how that ended. The threat was delivered so calmly, so matter-of-factly, that it took several seconds for its full weight to sink in. When it did, the chamber filled with panicked conversation. "This is blackmail," the Zephyrian representative protested. "This is reality," Sarah replied. "For 3 years you have treated humanity as children playing with toys. Today you learned that we were adults who chose to let you think we were children. The question now is whether you will adapt to this new reality or continue to live in the old one." The ethereal representative tried once more to read Sarah's mind, pushing her psychic abilities to their limit. What she found made her recoil, in shock. "I cannot read her thoughts," she announced to the chamber. "Her mind is shielded somehow." Dr. Webb's image smiled from the holographic display. "Dark matter technology has many applications. Mental shielding is one of the simpler ones." The council leader raised an appendage for silence. The ancient being looked even more tired than usual. "The council recognizes the new balance of power in the galaxy," it announced formally. "We accept Earth's proposal for a Terran protection fleet. All previous restrictions on human activities are hereby removed." Sarah nodded respectfully. "Thank you. The protection fleet will begin operations immediately. Piracy in this galaxy is about to become extinct." As if summoned by her words, reports began flooding into the chamber. Across the galaxy, remaining pirate fleets were surrendering without a fight. Word of the Kepler Prime battle had spread faster than light through the criminal networks. "Admiral Chen," Theklan said, his voice carrying a mixture of respect and fear that had never been there before. "Your species has changed everything. How do we know you will not become the very threat you claim to protect us from?" Sarah turned to face him directly. "War Marshal, for 3 years you have insulted my species, dismissed our capabilities, and treated us like barbarians. Even now, after seeing what we can do, you question our motives." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle over the chamber. "If we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we would have done it 3 years ago. If we wanted to rule over other species, we would not be asking for your cooperation. We want what we have always wanted, to be part of something larger than ourselves. The difference is that now you understand the value of having us on your side rather than against you." The session continued for hours, working out details of the new arrangement. But the real business was already complete. The galaxy had new guardians. 6 months after the Battle of Kepler Prime, the galaxy was a different place. Trade routes that had been abandoned due to pirate attacks were busy again. Colonies that had been evacuated were rebuilding. The Outer Rim territories, once lawless and dangerous, had become some of the safest places in known space. The reason was simple. Everyone knew the humans were watching. Captain Zara Vex learned this lesson the hard way. She had been a successful pirate for 15 years, leading a fleet of 20 ships that specialized in raiding merchant vessels near the hegemony border. Her crew was experienced, her ships were fast, and her reputation for brutality kept most traders from fighting back. None of that mattered anymore. Zara stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Blood Rose, staring at the merchant ship they had just stopped. It was a fat, slow transport carrying valuable minerals from the mining worlds to the industrial centers. An easy target by any measure. "Captain," her sensor operator reported, "the merchant is complying with our demands. They are preparing to transfer their cargo." Zara nodded. This should have been a routine raid. Stop the ship, take the cargo, let the crew live to spread word of her reputation. Simple and profitable. Then space rippled around them. "Captain!" The sensor operator screamed. Unknown contact, bearing 047. It just appeared out of nowhere. On the main screen, a shape materialized from the darkness. It was smaller than Zara's flagship, but something about it made her blood freeze. The ship seemed to be made of condensed shadow, its hull reflecting no light at all. This is the UES Nightfall to the pirate vessel Blood Rose. A calm human voice filled their bridge. You have 60 seconds to release the merchant ship and surrender your vessels. Zara's crew looked at her with growing panic. Everyone in the galaxy had heard the stories by now. Human ships that appeared from nowhere, weapons that made ships disappear, entire pirate fleets that simply ceased to exist. Captain, her first officer whispered, it's one of them, one of the ghost ships. Zara's pride warred with her survival instincts. She had never surrendered to anyone. Her reputation was built on being too dangerous to challenge. But the stories... This is Captain Zara Vex of the Blood Rose, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. We were just leaving, no harm done. Negative, Captain Vex. Your fleet has committed 17 acts of piracy in the past 3 months. You have killed 43 innocent people. Surrender is your only option. The human ship moved closer. Up close, it was even more terrifying. The hull seemed to bend light around it, creating distortions that hurt to look at. Zara's weapons. Officer was checking his targeting systems, but his hands were shaking. Captain, the weapons officer reported, I cannot get a lock on their ship. Our targeting computer says there is nothing there, but we can see it with our eyes. Zara made the mistake that had killed thousands of pirates over the past 6 months. She decided to fight. All ships open fire, concentrate on the human vessel. 20 pirate ships unleashed everything they had. Energy beams, missiles, projectile weapons, exotic matter disruptors. Enough firepower to destroy a small moon filled the space around the human ship. All of it passed harmlessly through the target. The UES Nightfall had become intangible, existing only in the shadow dimension, while remaining visible in normal space. The pirate weapon struck nothing but empty vacuum. Warning shots complete, the human captain announced calmly. Surrender now or face the consequences. Impossible, Zara screamed. Nothing can do that. Open fire again. The second barrage was just as useless as the first. The human ship solidified long enough to fire a single shot from its dark matter cannon. The pirate ship, Crimson Blade, Zara's second-in-command's vessel, simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, firing desperately at the human ship. The next moment there was only empty space where it had been. 19 ships remaining, the human captain observed. Next warning will remove 2 ships. The warning after that will remove 4. Would you like me to continue this demonstration? Zara's remaining ships were already powering down their weapons. Her crew looked at her with expressions that mixed terror with accusation. They had followed her into battles against impossible odds before, but this was different. This was not a battle. This was execution. We surrender, Zara whispered. Louder, please. We surrender, Zara shouted. All ships stand down. We surrender to the human fleet. The UES Nightfall moved alongside the Blood Rose. Reality rippled around both ships, and suddenly they were somewhere else. Zara found herself looking at a massive space station that she had never seen before. Human ships surrounded it by the hundreds, all of them made of the same impossible darkness. Welcome to Cerberus Station, the human captain announced. You and your crews will be processed and given a choice: lifetime imprisonment for your crimes, or service in the Terran Rehabilitation Corps. What is the Rehabilitation Corps? Zara asked, though she was not sure she wanted to know. Former pirates who have chosen to help hunt down their old colleagues. They know where the hidden bases are, how the networks operate, who the leaders are. Very useful for cleaning up the galaxy. Within an hour, Zara and her crews were aboard the station. The process was efficient and professional. Each pirate was interviewed, their crimes documented, their psychological profile analyzed. Most chose the Rehabilitation Corps over prison. Some chose prison rather than hunt their former allies. Zara chose rehabilitation. 3 weeks later, she stood on the bridge of a human patrol ship, wearing the dark gray uniform of the Corps, her New captain was Commander Lisa Park, a human who had spent 5 years hunting pirates in the Outer Rim. Contact on sensors, the ship's AI announced. Pirate fleet, 12 vessels attacking a colony transport near Sigma Station. Zara looked at the tactical display. She recognized the formation, the ship types, even the attack pattern. It was the Iron Wolves, led by Captain Rex Torvin. She had worked with them dozens of times over the years. They are using the Scorpion formation, she told Commander Park. Rex always approaches from the transport's blind spot, then spreads his ships to prevent escape. If we come in from above the system plane, we can catch them in a crossfire position. Commander Park nodded. Execute approach vector as recommended. Prepare to engage. The human ship slipped through the shadow dimension, appearing above the pirate formation exactly where Zara had predicted. The Iron Wolves never knew what hit them. Within minutes, 11 of their ships had chosen surrender over annihilation. The 12th ship, Rex's flagship, tried to run. It disappeared into the shadow dimension along with the human patrol ship. When they reappeared, they were at Cerberus Station. Rex Torvin looked at Zara with pure hatred as he was led away in restraints. Traitor, he snarled. You betrayed your own kind for the humans. Zara met his stare calmly. No, Rex. I chose to stop being a parasite and start being something useful. The humans gave me a choice. That's more than we ever gave our victims. 6 months later, piracy in the galaxy had dropped by 90%. The remaining pirates operated in small groups, avoiding any target that might attract human attention. Most had moved their operations to the unexplored regions beyond the Galactic Rim. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in her office aboard the UES Terra, humanity's new flagship. Through the massive viewing windows, she could see dozens of human patrol ships moving through the shadow dimension. Invisible guardians maintaining order across 1,000 star systems. Dr. Marcus Webb appeared on her communication screen, calling from his research station in Earth orbit. Sarah, I have the latest reports from the patrol fleets. Crime rates are at historic lows. Trade is up 300%. The outer colonies are reporting the highest population growth in their history. Sarah smiled. Any word from the Council? Formal vote yesterday. They want to make the Terran Protection Fleet arrangement permanent. Full funding, full authority, full recognition of human sovereignty and security matters. And the other species? How are they adapting? Marcus laughed. Better than we expected. The Kethvar have started a cultural exchange program with Earth. They want to understand how we developed such advanced military technology. The Zephyrians are offering to share their industrial techniques in exchange for limited access to dark matter research. Sarah looked out at the stars. Any resistance? Some. The Ethereal Council is still trying to understand how we shielded our minds from their psychic abilities. They are not happy about losing their intelligence advantages. But even they admit that galactic security has improved dramatically. A new voice joined the communication. War Marshal Theclon appeared on the screen beside Dr. Webb. The proud Kethvar warrior looked older than he had 6 months ago, but his expression was respectful. Admiral Chen, Theclon said formally, I wanted to inform you personally. The Kethvar Defense Fleet has voted to request training from human officers. We want to learn your tactics and strategies. Sarah raised an eyebrow. 6 months ago, you said your youngest child could destroy our entire fleet. Theclon's laugh was rueful. 6 months ago, I was an arrogant fool who thought strength was measured only by the size of one's weapons. Your species taught me that. The greatest strength is knowing when not to use your power. Meaning, you could have conquered the galaxy, instead you chose to protect it.